Hi and welcome to the Glam Zone. My name is Stella. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. In today's video, I show you my foundation, contour and highlight technique. It's all in this. This is a three-part video, so just stick around and you'll see everything. All right? We'll see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye. So when I do my foundation, I first make sure that I start with a clean face. There's no makeup on it besides this situation going on, like I'm talking about the other parts of my face. There's no makeup on there. I just use my moisturizer and then I go in with a primer. Now what the primer does is it helps your makeup adhere to your foundation adhere to your face, and I use it as a base. This right here, there's different kinds of primers. There's those that give you a dewy finish. And because I have combination skin, like I have an oily T-zone, and your T-zone is your forehead, up here, the bridge of your nose, sorry I didn't mean to flick you off, I'm just showing you, I promise, around here, and your chin, that's your T-zone. My face, I have a combination skin, so my T-zone gets greasy, and then the other parts of my face, they're just normal to dry. Under my eyes gets dry, and then the rest of my face is just like normal. After I put my moisturizer on, I go in with a primer. Now this is by Maybelline. It's a Master Primer, and it blurs and smooths your face. That way, once you put your foundation, your makeup looks flawless, looks like your skin. And I also noticed that I do have like larger pores around my upper lip, and for that I use this. It's also by Maybelline. It's a Babyskin instant pore eraser. So you just dab a little bit of this onto your trouble areas, and it kind of fills in your pores. That way when you apply your foundation, it's flawless. It gives you a nice look instead of having pitted parts, you know, where you see like there's holes in there. So these are the ones I use, and they're quite inexpensive and they're very readily available. I get these at my local drug store. And then the next thing I'm going to show you that I use is my foundation. Now I prefer liquid foundation for all over my face, and I find that that gives me, my skin can still peep through the layer of foundation that I use. I like to use this by Lancome. It's a Teint Idole, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but Teint Idole Ultra Wear 24-hour foundation. It's full coverage, a little goes a long way, and I know it's a little bit on the pricier side, but this one of these bottles lasts me for like 4 months, because all you need is maybe 3 to 4 pumps, not much at all, and you can apply it on your whole face. Now I get the question a lot about how to pick your foundation. My experience, this is what I found out, is I try to match my foundation not to the color of my face, but to my neck, because the way I'm set up, the skin on my face is a tad bit darker than the rest of my body. So in order to avoid putting foundation all up in here and getting my clothes dirty, my colored clothes, I just use a foundation that matches the color of my neck. That way I don't have to go back in with foundation in here. I just go up under my chin and that's it. I don't go all the way in here. So I use a foundation that matches the color of my neck. And then what happens over here is during the winter months, my skin gets lighter, but then in the summertime, when it's nice and hot and the sun's out, my melanin comes out popping, guys. So I like to get the same foundation, same formulation. I get a darker shade of it. If I don't get that dark, I mix the two to get the perfect match for me. So that's, and I also use a darker foundation to contour when I do my. Now there's also an option of using a stick foundation. There's this one here that I like, and it's actually pretty inexpensive, by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it's a stick foundation. Now I use this to contour as well, but you can also use it like for your whole face application. I'm just going to start by priming my skin. I'm going to take a little bit of this, the Maybelline primer, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my hand and work it on my skin, just like you would moisturize your face. like this Maybelline Skin Instant Pore Eraser because it has a little bit of silicone. It's silicone based is what I should say. And I find that it leaves my face really matte. I'm just going to take a little bit on my hand, and I'm going to start with these areas that are trouble areas. Now, because I have an oily T-zone, I do this step. If you don't have like oily skin, you don't have to do this step necessarily, but I like to do it because it makes my makeup stay longer throughout the day and I don't have to touch up as the day proceeds. So I like going in with a powder. This is a translucent powder by RCMA. It's a no color powder. So it goes on, I know it looks white here, but when it goes on, you really don't see it. And even if it showed, I wouldn't care, you know why? Because I'm gonna go in with my foundation. So I take a little bit of that powder and then just put it on my hand, just a little bit. And then using a big fluffy brush, I tap it onto my skin. And I'm using this e.l.f. brush, it's a Kabuki brush, and I love this. I've had this for years and it's still really good and soft on the skin. So I kind of shake my hand to distribute it better. That way I don't get like clumps when it goes on my face. Take my brush, tap it on there, tap on any excess, and then just start stippling it into my face. You're just pushing it, and you're not going around in circles. If you have trouble, things that you'd like to hide, like you don't want it to show from underneath your foundation, you can go in with a concealer that matches your problem. Now, for me, sometimes I find I have like dark under eyes. Sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. I don't understand it, but listen, I go in with this, it's orange. This suits like dark skin, like people with melanated skin, this suits you. I use this orange one. This is by LA Girl Pro Conceal. And then I know there's people who are fair, who get like red areas around their nose, around their lips. Go in with something that has an olive undertone. They sell this one, a green one, that would work perfect for you. So I'm going to show you what I do, and I just go in with my hand. This thing has an applicator, brush at the bottom, and I just go in and apply it. I don't use too much of it under my eyes, and I'll show you what I do. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And then around here, my lips, I also find that it's a little bit darker than the rest of my face. So using my clean hand, I just go in like that. And then this, I just tap it in. And as you apply it right close to your waterline, you want to look up, like I'm doing right here. So I'm going to do this for both eyes, and I'll come back to show you what the next step. All right, I know I look like the flag of a certain country. I got all kinds of colors on my face, but don't worry, you're going to fix it. So the next thing you do is, or the next thing I do is I go in with my foundation, not the darker one, the one that matches the color of my skin, and the color of my neck rather. And I just go in with a couple pumps, 1, 2, 3. And I like to put it on my hand right there, just so it can warm up a little bit. And for this step, you want to use a stippling brush, or I like flat top brushes, like this one. This one is by Morphe. This is by Real Techniques. It's called a stippling brush, and you can see it has the synthetic fibers at the top. It's very soft. I like to stipple it onto my face with a brush and not rub. You don't go in circles. You just kind of stump it on your face. Then I go back in with a beauty blender to blend it flawlessly. Now, if in the next stage I'm about to do, if you find that there's still a lot of foundation on your face and it does not look right, you want to go back in with your beauty blender, and that distributes it very evenly, giving you a flawless finish. So I'm just going to let me use this one. I'm going to take a little bit, tap it in my hand, and then I go back into my face with it. And that orange concealer that we use under the eyes, that's all going to disappear under the foundation. See what I'm doing? I'm just stipling it in. I'm not going around in circles, because that'll leave streaks on your face. It won't give you a flawless application like you'd like. I'm going to use a smaller one to get in between another stippling brush, a smaller one. This one's by e.l.f. They have very good brushes and they're very inexpensive. So I'm using a smaller one to get in those tight areas. And I'm going to speed this up, just watch so you can see what it is I'm doing. So next you want to go in with a damp beauty blender. I'm using this one. This is by Real Techniques. It's really soft and I find that it does a great job distributing the foundation on your face, and if you have excess, this is a way to take it off. So I'm just going to, using the sharp part, I'm going to go in up under my eyes and just tap. Alright, for the rest of the face I use this other side. Blended the foundation to look just the way I want it to look on my face, and I use the help of a damp beauty blender. Now here's a little tip. If you all you have is water to use on your beauty blender to make it damp, that's fine. What I like to do is spray a little bit of setting spray, blend my foundation on, it comes out flawless. Like you can see, I have only foundation on, I haven't put powder, but it looks like my skin. So that's the aim. You don't want to look too, you don't want to look cakey, sis. You want to look flawless. So the next thing I like to do is go in with my concealer, and I'm using this LA Girl Pro Conceal, and I like to go under my eyes. I'll show you. Let me use something to point the areas. So I like to go under my eyes and up here, up along the middle of my nose, my forehead, the upper part of my chin, my lip, my chin, and then a little bit underneath my what do you call it? Cheekbones, okay? Just so that when I contour, it pops, it really stands out. So I'm going to take just a little bit, and I like to use, I don't go 2 shades lighter, I just go 1 shade lighter. I don't like to have it too bright because then it looks weird on me. At least for me, that's what it looks like. So I'm just going to press a little bit out, and I'm going to make these marks right here, looking like tribal marks. You see that? On that side. And a little bit up the side of your nose like I'm doing there, and then do the same thing here. That's if you're contouring your nose, do this. If you don't contour your nose, don't worry about this. And then like this, like little whiskers, but underneath your eyes. And then I go right from the tip of my nose, I try and draw a straight line up, and then up here, looking like a triangle, looking all tribal. Some on my chin, and then a little bit underneath where I'm going to contour my cheekbones and down here. So if you notice something, I didn't go right up underneath my waterline. I left a little bit of space. That way when you blend and you blend upwards, which is inevitable, it doesn't cake up. So I go in with this brush to distribute it, and then I'm going to go in with a smaller beauty blender, a damp one, to just make it look all airbrushed and stuff. So this is what I do. See that? All right, now I'm gonna go in, I'm not gonna blend it yet. And the beauty of this concealer, it does not dry out too quick. Like some of the brands I've used, they dry out too quick. Before you get a chance to blend them, it's already caked up. So I'm gonna go in with my darker foundation. And I don't need as much as I did when I applied it to my face. This is for the areas that I'm going to contour. So that includes my cheekbones, my forehead, my nose, my chin. I'll show you. So I use, this is a Morphe brush, E57 brush, and it's pointed, and I use it just for this, what I'm about to do, to contour. So I dip it in the foundation, and then I take it from the tip of, if you want to know where to contour for your cheekbones, take a brush. If you don't know, if you know, you don't have to do all this. Take a brush, you see the top of your ear, that section, and then hold the brush down. Where you feel that hollow, that is where you contour for your cheekbones, that area right there. So I'm going to take my brush and just draw a straight line and stop it not too far, like beyond where my eye ends. You see that, where it's stopping? Right there. And then I'm going to do the same for this other side. Again, if you don't know where your cheekbones, where to contour for your cheekbones, you do this. And then that area is where you're going to draw your lines for contouring. And then what I like to do is draw something like a fence. This is what will really give your cheekbones that shape. So I start by drawing straight lines going up on top of that contour line that I've just drawn, but gradually decreasing in size. So near the hairline, I make those lines kind of tall, and as I come closer to my cheek, they get shorter. You see what I did there? So tall towards the hairline, and then they get shorter towards the center of your face. I'll do the same thing for this side. All right, and then I like to go underneath my jaw to just give it definition. To create an illusion of a shadow, okay? And I like to go underneath my lower lip just to make it, give it a pout. Just that little there. And then I like to go on either side of my forehead and I shade it in. See that? This side. Not too far, not too close to your eyebrows because it'll look weird. All right, and then this is another trick for those of you who are blessed with a forehead like I am. I like to draw a V right in the center of my forehead, like that. And I bring it down a little. You see that? This eats up that forehead, sis. It eats it up. It looks like it's not really there, but you know it's there. You go in and you shade it in, like I'm doing, and just shade these other areas. Remember, see what I'm doing? I'm pulling it down. All right, now to contour my nose, I go in with a kind of narrow brush. Like this one is by Morphe. It's a M432 brush. And I'm just gonna do the head of your eyebrow right there at the very end. Draw a line connecting it. See what I'm doing? And you wanna go straight down. Try your best to go straight down. I know it's not easy because I mess up sometimes, but I know how to fix it. And if I do mess up here, I'll leave it on there just so you can see how to fix it. Depending on how narrow you want your nose to look, these lines, if you want your nose to look like the bridge of your nose to look narrower, you draw these two lines close together, okay? If you don't care, if you want to just fix the appearance of the tip of your nose, you only draw the lines at the bottom, you leave this part alone. If you don't want to do this all together, you don't have to do it. This is optional, okay? If it's too much hustle for you, you don't have to do it. So I go in here and I kind of draw a V. Right? And then I connect those lines to that V. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. You can always fix it. You see that? So what I do, I go in with the other side of my Dump Beauty Blender and I just blend this all in together for the contour. But for the highlight underneath my eyes, I use a Dump Little Beauty Blender. This one is also by Real Techniques, and I just dab it. And if you're working with another brand, I'm not sure which ones, like which ones you use. Just try and work fast, or if you like, do this step first for the under eye highlight. Do it first, and then you go back in and contour later. That way it doesn't dry up on you. And you want to be very careful and blend it well when you get underneath your eyes, because when you put that setting powder under your eyes, you do not want it to be caked up, like have clumps. Okay, so then I go back here and I just tap, tap, tap on it. Anywhere I put this highlight, that's what I'm working on right now. And I get the center of the nose. Just blend, blend, blend. And then I go in with my Dump Beauty blender and I just blend the contours that I put. Now on the forehead, when I blend with my beauty blender, I blend downward. I tap on it and then once it's all in the skin, I blend downward, just so there's no line of demarcation between the areas that I highlighted with the concealer and where I contoured with a darker foundation, or if you're using a contouring product. Okay, see what I'm doing? I'm bringing it down. That we're creating an illusion of there being a shadow. And since we contoured our foreheads, if you have a larger forehead, it kind of eats it up. If you have a smaller forehead, I wouldn't suggest that you contour the forehead, because then it'll look really little. You don't want to do that. And up by the way you put you contour on your cheeks, you blend upwards like I'm doing. So downwards by the forehead and your temple area, and then upward here by the cheeks. And then by your chin, you want to go down so it does not look like you have a beard. Then up under your lip. All right, now when it comes to the nose, I struggle with this because sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it looks murky. So what I like to do is I tap the product into my skin, and then I just use my fingers to get it to look the way I look. And if I go over the center part where I put the concealer to highlight, I'll just go back in with the concealer to fix it, okay? So this is what I do. Just tap, tap on it. You can use a brush to do this as well. You can just use a brush to blend it, but try not to go down into your nose in the areas where you put the concealer on the side of your nose, okay? All right, so now for all those areas that you use a concealer to highlight, we're going to use our setting powder to set. And I'm using a loose powder. This is by Mercier. It's very finely milled. That means that the grains of it are very little, so it does not settle into your fine lines where you get like clumps, where it mixes with a concealer and you get clumps underneath your eyes. So you just take a Dump Beauty blender, and I'm using this little one by Real Techniques, and you just take a small amount on that blender and you tap it into your skin in those areas that you had previously put some of that concealer. And that just sets it in place. Anytime you use a liquid product on your face, you want to set it with a powder, okay? Otherwise it's just going to run all over your face. And I'm sure you've seen, and some people who have, like, on a hot day, you just see brown sweat. That's not sweat, that's actually is sweat, but then it's because they did not set their foundation. You always have to set your foundation. just going to tap my brush, and I'm using this brush by Real Techniques. It's a sculpting brush. I'm going to tap it into the pan, and then I'm just going in circles, that area that we had contoured. I'm going to go in there and set that. In circular motions. All right, get a little bit more in the forehead area. And you want to blend it. That way you don't see the line where you highlighted and where you're going to contour. And this also adds warmth to your face. Doing a contour and highlighting adds warmth to your face. Because if you notice, once you put your foundation on, your skin is all just one color, the color of your foundation. But once you add your contour and your highlights, that gives your face like dimension, and that's the purpose of all of this. I'm gonna go in and set my nose contour. I'm just using a small, it's a tapered brush that's fluffy, and gently set that. If you want to skip the contour, like the way I use a darker foundation, the contour, and just use a powder instead, you can also do that. And as you notice, I am pulling in, I'm not going downwards, because remember, this part of your nose, you'd highlight it. You use concealer to highlight, because you want the center of your face to look bright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a powder that I'm going to apply all over my face just to blend everything together. And for that I'm using this black Opal. It's a loose deluxe finishing powder. It also is an oil control formula, and I love this stuff, and it lasts forever. So I'm just going to take a little bit, put it on the lid, and using my big fluffy brush. And I know you're probably wondering, well, you just highlighted, you just contoured. Why would you go over all of that with a powder brush? Just to pull everything together. That way, if there's anywhere where you see a line or a line of demarcation, doing this just erases that, okay? So I'm just gonna go in there, tap off any excess, and then just pat it on. Especially the places where your highlights and your contours meet. So the next thing you do is go in with your setting spray. And I love this. I love the Morphe one. It smells wonderful, but I'm out. So this is my other favorite one, Urban Decay All-Nighter spray, setting spray. And I'll just shake it a little. It smells good. The reason why we use a setting spray is so that everything just melts into your face. The makeup there's not a powdery cast left on your face, especially for people who bake under the eyes. Now baking is a technique that I do not use because I have dry skin underneath my eyes. That's a technique that is used to set the concealer that you put underneath your eyes to brighten your face, okay? So if you do bake under your eyes, like you leave that powder there to sit as you do the rest of your face, you really want to not miss this step, because right before it dries, I'm gonna go in with my highlighter and I'll come back and show you how to do it. Now what I actually use is not a true highlighter as you'd call it, but it is a blush. It's by Milani. It's called the Luminoso Baked Powder Blush number 5, and I like the way it gives me that glowing from within look. I love this stuff. That's what I use to highlight. So I just use, you want to use this called a fan brush. You want to use one of these if you can get your hands on one. I'm just going to tap on top, take off any excess, and just gently smile, because you want to bring your cheeks up so you can get the highest point of your cheeks to apply this on. Just very gently. See that? Look at that, look at that. Alright, see, compare this side that has no highlighter to this side. Alright, we're gonna do the same thing for the other side. Put it on the high spot of your cheekbones, and then I like to put it on my Cupid's bow, which is right here. On my chin, the top part of my chin. And then I like to go in up over my eyebrows, this area right here. And a little bit higher up. I just like that glow. All right. Yes, I know it looks crazy, but the next step will fix that. Okay. So I go in with my blush, and I like to apply my blush in the area between, let me show you, between where I highlighted and where I did my contour. This area right underneath my highlight, that's where I like to put my blush. So I'm using one by Sleek, and the name has rubbed off. Let me see, can you see it? The name has rubbed off, but I will put the details in the description box below for all the products I've used today. Okay, so in circular motions, I still smile as I do this. I think I'm done. Like, I'm happy with the way it's turned out. So give me a few minutes, I'll be back to show you everything together. So here's the finished look. Thank you so much for joining me this time. Join me again next time as I help you look and feel your very best. Please take care of yourself and look glamorous, my friends. I will see you in the next video.